Hello guys, welcome to my channel. I hope everything's okay in your life. In this video you will find an updated version of series I prepared in the previous years. You're in luck for listening to the explanation because I felt the need to quickly discuss the content of the video. Each video will feature an interview with a class master about either the Succession or Awakening versions of a class. All videos, including the older ones, will be available in the playlist you see on the screen. You can find the link of the playlist in the pinned comment section. The purpose of this video series is to help you understand the basic role of the class within the game. I must clarify that it is not a deeply detailed guide. You will watch an interview in a conversational style aimed at answering the fundamental questions of those interested in playing a class. The class masters featured are experienced players who have dedicated thousands of hours to their class and to the Black Desert Online. You may recognize some and not the others, but unfamiliarity does not make them bad players. All the class masters mentioned have proven themselves in Black Desert Online world. Please be respectful when sharing your thoughts. Enjoy watching. Hello guys, welcome. Today's guest is FakeUni for Succession Striker. Welcome FakeUni, how are you?
I'm great. How are you?
Thank you so much. Let's start. May you please introduce yourself? Who are you? Where are you from? Which server are you playing at?
Hi, I'm FakeUni. You can find me on Twitch or on YouTube as well. I'm located in Canada and North America. I play on the North American server.
Thank you. How did you find out of the BDO and what caught your interest to stay in BDO?
Well, it's funny. I found BDO on sale on Steam originally, which I mean we've seen that time and time again. And I was playing PlayerUnknown Battlegrounds at the time. I immediately tried it out, gave it a go, and found a lot of nostalgia through some of the games that I played in my earlier days, such as Diablo 2 and RuneScape. And I found the game to be incredibly enjoyable through the fluidity of the combat. So much so that I found myself while playing rounds of PlayerUnknown Battlegrounds, I'd be in between doing like AFK cooking and fishing and stuff like that, and I'd end up costing my team sometimes just because I was so absorbed with Black Desert. I eventually just decided to jump full haul into the game and stream it a lot more and make content on it at the time, and it was originally what started my first YouTube videos in terms of gaming content in my channel, and from there it's always had a special place in my heart.
Yeah, I mean, this is kind of a little bit independent question from our fixed questions, but I want to ask, what happened and why PA promote your
So luckily for us, PA ended up confronting me and wanting to do a collaborative music for BDO, and as a small team of three, one person who animated it, one person who made the beat, and another person who wrote and performed, we did the best we could, and we were tremendously grateful for them to be able to mission us and play it on stage for one of the Heidel balls. And we were really, really overwhelmingly happy with just their positive reinforcement from when we submitted it, because we found it to be a pretty challenging project, but we just took on the work order, put our heads down, and did the best we possibly could.
Legend tells of a being who once had an incredible ability to reach grand heights against the lowest of odds. Some believe that these miracles were blessings from the gods. Others believed it was the practice of darker magic. Though the face of this being was truly never revealed, their hands against all odds were never forgotten. The story of the Diamond Hands.
Put the pressure to the pedal, if I press it, I'ma lose it. People playing up the pot, I'm pulling through and going, doing it, picking about the competition while I rule this spot. I see the grab, see the hands, see the things I pop. I've been beating my greed, but I get nothing I need. What's the point of clicking anything if all I'm gonna do is click another, lose another? Watch me build this stack so I can try to take it, try to get this back. It's like Diamond Hands. Gotta say it, people think I'm bluffing around until I go and blam. My bad. Gotta make it, hope it goes now or I build this stack. I ain't stressed about it, click or tap eventually. Now things are really stepped and get it, cause the best is free. I wanna press it, wanna clear it, need the blessing from the spirit. Popping off the rock for digits when it bops, you gonna hear it. Hit it with the get it with the right advice. It's like in this light, and when the time is right, I might just go hit it with the get it with the karma. Now I gotta get it, now I gotta hit it with the code. The secret is hidden, but read through the lines and you'll see what is missing. It's in the description, you see what is written. You punch it on in and then take what is given. My competition get it really sweaty. I got clam on my hands, but I hit him with the ready. Go 1 fight, 2 fight, 3 fight pop. The clock's ticking on my tickers, but I'll die for the spot. King is back, now I'm a gambling man and I am willing to bet. I've been gone for a second, now I'm coming back and checking. I'm a whole new beast with a weaponized weapon. You can call it Armageddon, I'ma take a whole section with the rest show up. We can settle through the wreckage and I hit him with a little bit of a hypocritical type of person. I hit him with 100% and it was worth it. Diamond Hands, gotta save him, waiting when the timing is right so I can go and break him. My bad, gotta save it, hope it goes now, I can't get this back. It's like Diamond Hands, gotta say it, people think I'm bluffing around until I go and play 'em. My bad, gotta make it, hope it goes now or I'll build it. Never make this game too easy. King of the jungle, but only one can ever be me. Ripping the pot, the competition, I gotta get it on a systematic mission to eliminate completely. You my strength, but my time is limited. Refuse my might, but your time is imminent. Excuse my mind, but this time is limitless. I'm on another channel, scoping out my next enemy. Wait, my instincts and my habitat, sticking to the fundamentals, leading to the aftermath. I'm on an animalistic, super catch, fragilistic dose of it. And when you don't come back, nobody noticing. There ain't no telling what I might do, and there ain't no way to say what I've been through. Black spirit in my soul, please help me fight. Ellie, oh my God, Lord, give me life. Diamond Hands, gotta save it, waiting when the timing is right so I can go and break him. My bad, gotta save it, hope it goes now, I can't get this back. It's like Diamond Hands, gotta save it, people think I'm bluffing around until I go and play him. My bad, gotta make it, hope it goes now or I'll build this stack. It's like Diamond Hands, gotta save it, waiting when the timing is right so I can go and break him. My bad, gotta save it, hope it goes now, I can't get this back. It's like Diamond Hands, gotta save it, people think I'm bluffing around until I go and play him. My bad, gotta make it, hope it goes now or I'll build this stack. It's like Diamond Hands.
Thank you. I would love to see more interactions with players and with PA, because we need that. PA is just pretending like we are not there. And I would love to see more and more contents like that from you, from other content creators, hopefully.
I completely agree. You know, the big thing too is that some of these ideas may be a challenge to think of, but I think if we kind of banged our heads together and found something that was of collaborative interest, I think we could honestly make some awesome stuff, continue to make awesome stuff.
Let's turn into a normal interview. Have you ever taken a break from playing BDO? If so, what motivated you to come back?
Oh man, I'm the wrong person to ask this question. Yes, I've been very motivated to take breaks on several occasions. I mean, so much so that I've even taken taken like end gear game at a time in BDO where it was an insane amount of gear and thrown it in the trash bin. I mean, what has motivated me to return? It's the fact that I honestly just continue to really enjoy what this game does have to offer and how it plays and functions. But the thing is that, you know, this game is so grindy that it does cause burnout. It does cause people to sometimes, you know, take their foot off the gas pedal a little bit less in terms of making their progress in this game. And I think things that I've learned from my own mistakes is just breaks are important, breaks are healthy, and breaks are what makes this game a lot more interesting. Because I mean, you can only enjoy your cake and eat that so many times until eventually you're sick of cake and maybe you want some pie now, maybe you want some pizza, I don't know, right? And that's just kind of how it is with BDO.
How long have you been playing the class you're currently playing? Have you tried any other classes?
Oh boy, I've been playing Striker since I first started playing the game. I chose Striker because it just reminded me of a character from an anime I enjoyed as a kid, Dragon Ball Z, and I just fell in love with the class so much. I have tried other classes as well. I would think classes I've put more time into would definitely be Succession Hashashin. I've tried Shy a little bit. I've given Ninja some very honest time, Megu, Wusa, and then other new class releases that we'll have. I'll usually give like a few weeks time if there's a tag event going on. So the recent one that we just had, the Scholar, and then right now I've got a Succession Witch tag that I'm currently very much enjoying at this current time. And yeah.
Okay, we can say that you are meta boy right now.
No. You know, the funny thing was when I tagged the Succession Witch recently, I did it in terms of like flavor of the month, meta chasing themed. But when I tried Succession Witch, my first opinion before trying it, I thought I would hate it because I don't usually like spellcasters. They're usually just not my playstyle. But Succession Witch, I've really, really enjoyed. If a class is completely busted, I find myself like playing it to try for a while, especially if it's a new class release. But I always find myself going back to my Striker just because I enjoy it more. But Succession Witch, I've truly enjoyed a lot. And I know at the time of this video, when it gets released, she's in a very meta spot right now in terms of like the PvE department.
Okay, another question. What sets the class you play, the Succession Striker, apart from the other classes? What is the special thing for you in Striker?
It's just it's the way he looks, man, the way he operates, his animations, it's just his stance. I don't know. It's like asking someone why someone's like someone's favorite color is their favorite color. It's just because they like blue, they like green, they like red, right? Like that's how I see Striker. Striker is just something that I found and I just loved out of every class. I have the most fun playing with it and playing around with it and being silly with it, and it's just that's how it is for me. It doesn't mean that I don't enjoy other classes, but yeah, and Succession Striker, the reason why I like that so much is because when it released, it was just so higher APM and more fluid and required more brain power. And I don't know, it was just exciting when it first released. And that's just kind of how it's always felt to me. It's just been very fun to always fall back on. Even when I've like spent a lot of time on another tag class, and when I fall back on Striker just to break things up and make things more interesting, it's always so fun, even and refreshing to step back onto it.
Is your class evasion or damage reduction, or both together playable, and why?
Okay, so the end game, yeah, so a Striker, it's like in the earlier days when you're building up Tet gear, you'd want to go damage reduction. When going into Pen gear, you'd want to build evasion. And when pushing for, C9 and going into C20 armors, but now going into Fallen God armors, you'd want to be going for evasion with Striker. Damage reduction does work with Striker, but it's so much more operatable and better in PvE. So the end game PvP goal is going to be building deep game evasion, and in terms of a PvE department, damage reduction is king on Striker, especially since he's a naturally tanky class. That damage reduction in addition is quite noticeable in my opinion.
I mean, for me, I can say that if there's like a meme build, like evasion Valkyrie, damage reduction Striker is same level of meme build for endgame PvP.
He can build damage reduction, absolutely. But the min-max decision is evasion.
So another question. What is your current gear score? Do you rush your gear progress, or you take it easy type of guy?
So current gear score, good lord, on Garmoth, it's got to be between 730 and 740 right now, I would think. And recent things that I just achieved were getting my C20 Nuver and working on the C20 accuracy offhand. I'm currently working on set gear. I've got my pen earrings in terms of distortions, which aren't necessarily as sought after now with the new Devo changes coming in. And I've got my, my dual pen narcs from Jatina for some off-flow stuff. So right now I'm just kind of working on alternative set gear. I am constantly grinding in spots with Devo accessories, but my Devo luck is insanely disgusting. And yeah, so I'm doing that right now. I love to push hard in terms of very achievable goals that have, smaller stepping stones, if you will, such as, let's use CAFRs, for example. Building up to C20 is a good stepping stone range, as opposed to working on massive goals such as like a Pen de Borca. So when it comes to Pen Devo, I'm kind of just going with the flow and not trying to burn myself out in that department. But I do like to push hard in terms of other things. Right now, I'm trying to work on other treasure items, and I would like to see myself building another alternative set gear when it comes to accuracy.
Thank you. So is your class newbie friendly? On a scale of 1 to 10, how would you rate its difficulty? If you want, you can separate it. You can compare it as like Succession and Awakening.
Yeah, so absolutely new player friendly. I think Awakening is the most new player friendly when it comes to Striker. Succession, I do think, is new player friendly. In terms of difficulty for Striker Awakening new player, it's got to be like a 4, honestly. In Succession, I mean, I would give it a 5, 5.5. I think 6 would be a little bit of a generous number for new player friendliness. In terms of how difficulty is it to master, I mean, I would put it under, like, Awakening would be like I don't know, maybe a 7. I think feel like 6 is a little too low. 7, 7.5 maybe. And then Succession being like, 7.5, 8, because it's just a little bit higher APM. But I do think that both classes are easier to digest, and easier to understand. And then it just comes down to taking, the time to practice and understand also the game as well.
Thank you. I think we talked enough about the basics of Striker, the Succession Striker. We all are curious about your thoughts on the PvE situation of the class you are currently playing. Could you provide us with the detailed information separately for early, mid, and end game?
Yeah, sure. So for early game, I would say Striker's got a really decent pace. Awakening, absolutely, with just bigger AoEs. So when you're going from pack to pack, doing more one-shot stuff, I do find Awakening to be a great choice to use. But Succession, I find, is also similar, except there's a lot of effort that you're going to be putting into the earlier game, much more in terms of comparison into the early game, because with Succession Striker, there's just a lot more finer details, if you will, in terms of mobility and pack management, if you will. The mid game, I would say Succession is awesome because you're going to be starting to do more combos and things like that. And once you've gotten comfortable with the early game and the mobility, you're going to be moving from mid game with a lot more comfort. In terms of end game, I think Succession Striker does really, really great in terms of just solo individual combos, as well as just being able to output a consistent source of DPS. So I would honestly say that if I had to give it a 1 out of 10 in terms of difficulty, I would say the early game for Succession Strike would be more of a 6, 7, or even 8, just because there's a lot to manage, and that might be a lot for someone to understand at first. The mid game, it starts to lower. I would say it would go from like the 8 to the 7, and then the end game, since you understand the mid game, it will go from like the 7 to like the 6.5, or stay in the 7 out of 10 for difficulty. But all very digestible and approachable.
So do you think that in end game stage, Striker Succession was the god of the single target DPS? Do you think that still Succession Striker is very strong for single target DPS, such as like Troll Spot, like Olun, something like that?
I still think Succession Striker continues to hold up. Like, I do think that there's other classes that are taking over in terms of just that DPS output and those numbers as well. I mean, the trash numbers also speak for themselves, but I don't think a Succession Striker is bad though. Like, I would still give him like a high A+. If he was not in the S tier anymore, or an A, I couldn't give him any lower than that. So I still count him as a reliable source in terms of that damage output that you'd want to have.
Thank you. So let's talk about PvP. We all are curious about your thoughts on the PvP situation of Succession Striker. Could you provide us with detailed information separately for 1v1, 1vx, AOS, 5v5, Guild League, Node, Siege, and War of the Roses?
I mean, for Succession Striker, this is going to be a super, super simple answer. The toolkit in terms of PvP is incredibly limited. And when you compare that toolkit and utility to other classes, it's just so off by a long shot. Succession Striker is a great duelist for 1v1s, even in small 1vx's, like let's just say 1v3s and 1v4s, he's okay. You would be wanting to build more as an assist man once those numbers start to get higher past 3, honestly, like 4, 5, 6 more people. You'd be wanting to build more as like a person who sets people up and an assist man in terms of getting other people kills, being a rumbler, being a CC bot. But the higher the numbers, when we start getting into Node War, Siege, and War of the Roses, I mean, whoever wants to lose is bringing a Succession Striker to those situations, because he just has, unfortunately, in this current situation of the Siege scene and larger scale scene, he just has no place. When it comes to 5v5, again, he starts playing that more specific role. Like, yes, he can be a great duelist, but he would be a much better assist man in setting your teams up. AOS, kind of the same thing. In the 1v3 situation, 3v3 situation, you can build more of a person who's going to be dueling and getting frags. Guild League, when we start getting into 10v10, it's the same situation. You're going to want to be building as an assist man, but then again, there's just so many other classes with better utility options that you would be taking in any situation that is beyond is 10v10 and beyond. So that includes Guild League, Node War, Siege, and War of the Roses. You're not bringing a Succession Striker to any of those situations in this current state of Succession Striker.
Okay. Don't you think that Succession Striker is kind of a little bit more limited than the average classes in these days?
100%. Like it's insane. Like the comparison again is just the comparison of utility of other classes comparing to Succession Striker. And I'm not going to say any other classes names. It's just there's so many other things you can do and ways that you're protected. And Succession Striker just doesn't have that. There's so many gaps in his toolkit, so many unprotected hard hitting moves when other classes have their hardest hitting moves completely protected. It's just the toolkit is just not built for the war situation. Not even close. Like it's just you're using a freaking ragdoll and you're just going to be thrown around like a ragdoll.
Thank you. Is there a significant strong aspect of the class you're playing or a significant weakness? In short term, what is the strongest thing? What is the weakest thing for you?
Strongest thing with Succession Striker is its PvE game and its strong dueling game. Because when it comes to dueling for spots and things like that, Succession Striker is a fantastic duelist. I would say the significant weakness is its large scale game. When it comes to the PvP department, its toolkit is completely just gappy and just seriously needs to be relooked at in terms of my opinion. But aside from that, it is what it is, right? It's definitely going to cater and meet other people's needs based on how they want to play this game. And I still think that Succession Striker can achieve a lot of that for a lot of people.
Thank you. Are there any classes that clearly dominate your class? And also, are there any classes that you can clearly dominate them? The counter matchup.
I mean, yeah, so an Awakening Lawn, I'm putting my money on an Awakened Lawn almost every time. A very, very, very skilled Sork, sure. I mean, you've got Tamers. I think the bigger threat for Striker is also just other grab classes that are just skilled at what they're doing. I mean, classes that we would dominate in PvP would be like the caster situations. I find it to be pretty easy to close gaps on archers, but at the same time, it also comes down to who's playing the Striker as well. Like other classes that we do strong against would also be, I mean, with it being such a high APM dual class, it's going to come down to the other person. But I find that any class that has slower mobility, like Succession Draconia and things like that, I find Striker has a much higher advantage against situations like those.
Okay, thank you. Is there a mechanics or skills in your skill kit, in your class, that you would like to be buffed or nerfed?
In PvE, I think Succession Striker is, I don't think he needs any changes in terms of how he performs and how he operates. But when we look at the PvP situation, it's like everything about that toolkit has to be relooked at. Because the thing is with Succession Striker, the way he plays and operates, you would think that he's meant to be like a frontline class and he should have a lot more frontline protections and frontline passives, in my opinion, to be able to thrive as someone who can stand in the front, get successful grabs, remain protected, expected. I'm not saying give Striker a grab and let him stay in permanent iframe and things like that. It's just I would like, I don't know what the solution is, but I would like to see that utility given to him so he can be that face for a frontline. But unfortunately, he just doesn't have any of that. When we look at the Rabams, when we look at the Magnus skill, when we look even at his 100%, his 200%, they're just not there. And those are also gray areas that I think could easily have potential brought to them without doing too much more to the class. I think just a few protections, removing the gaps, giving him that type of face and representation for that would be ideal.
I totally agree about a Succession Striker is because I felt like too limited, and the utility part, there is nothing that you can stretch it. But I mean, we talked about the 1v1, isn't it, on Succession Striker? There are tons of better classes in this game, can do 10 times better than Succession Striker. So it's not making the class special on 1v1. It's just making, okay, what is the strong part of your class? 1v1. What is the strong part on PvE? Okay, I have a good single target DPS, but is that making your class better than the other ones or equal to the top tier DPS classes? No. I think the utility part needs to be stretched, expanded, adjusted more and more in Succession Striker. Can be for PvE, can be for PvP. I don't know how they can do that, but when we talked about that, that's what I felt. The limitation is huge.
100%. Yeah.
Another question. We talked many things about a Succession Striker. Can we get a brief summary of the good and bad things in your class can offer to the average player? Let's say that I want an average returning newbie or someone. I want to reroll. I want to try that class. What Striker can offer me?
Striker will allow you to not use as much brain power as you may want to, being overwhelmed. If you're overwhelmed by the combat style of the game, Striker will be great in the early game and mid game and will hold up in the end game in terms of making the in-game income, the money you need to make to get your progressional gains as well. So all in all, I think the class will be tremendously digestible. And if you're interested in those brawler type of classes, I think you'll have a lot of fun with him.
Thank you. We talked about Striker a lot. Let's talk about game itself. What are your thoughts on BDO's current situation from past until now?
Oh man, you're not gonna. Oh man, this is gonna be a hot take. Do you want a hot take? I'll give you a hot take. Here's a hot take. I think BDO, in terms of the mountain you need to climb, was one. I do like how new player friendly they're continuing to make the game and casual friendly they're continuing to make the game, but at the same time, I don't think they're releasing like big impacting changes as enough as we need to, because I feel like so many more players are getting closer and closer to the wall of progression in this game that people are now working on the wall of alternative sets of gear. And even after that, it's like I just don't know what it has to offer. I really feel like the game needs to have like a wild turn in terms of progressional challenges and stuff like that. I'm one of those people that wouldn't even mind seeing a complete revamp of the entire set of gear that we currently have existing in the game, or having content put into the game that complements that gear and hard cap gear that you've worked for as well, whether it be group content towards the Black Shrine or better dungeons or bringing back Ultra Blood in a better format or whatever. I just really would like to see the bar in terms of gear progression as well, like being raised. For example, like let's just say the 700 gear score is soft cap, 750 is closer to hard cap. Let's just say in terms of a number perspective, I want soft cap to be brought up to like 800. I want like hard cap to be like 850, 900. Like I'm ready for that type of progressional change in terms of content in this game. I really do like seeing the Dekia spots being added to the game in terms of like a new game plus feature. Like you play Dark Souls, you beat Dark Souls, you unlock a new difficulty of Dark Souls. That's kind of how I see the Dekia spots. So I don't mind having that, revamped world tour, if you will. But I would really enjoy seeing the progressional side have a complete revamp to it, or just, the next chapter opened up. I'd really also like them to stop seeing them release territories that, in my perspective, are unfinished. Like we got Eulatica or however you pronounce it, and they released 2 grind spots on it. Then they eventually released the 3rd. Then they added like the flame and the Kabua artifact or whatever it was. And like the content in that region slowly also started to come out. Like I just want to see like a DLC with new stuff, with new items, with new things put into the game as a whole. And I want to see a global freaking release. I'm so sick of watching like other regions like Korea get this content first, and then we can like scope and gaze at it for a certain period of time until we finally get it. So So for me, it's like I just want to see the new progress, new content delivered in this type of way, and I want it on a global release as well. Those are my big ones.
Thank you. So what do you think that PA does well and what is bad about the updates? If you were in charge, let's say that you are the new Mr. J tomorrow, what would
Okay,
you
I'm
like
Jay.
to add? Okay. What would you like to add and remove from the game?
Remove the precision hammers immediately. In terms of just them being able to be placed on the marketplace, I think that is just incredibly ridiculous. Like, we've never seen a hammer like that ever before, and it's sellable. And I just don't know what they're thinking, whether it's to draw new players into the game to come back and get a big chunk of change and make gains. But that's definitely one. Another thing too is I'd take a look at the current situation of where people are in gear. And as I said with the gear progression, I would also put those thoughts in consideration into like the PvP situation in terms of large scale siege. I'd like to see features of Arena of Solare put into large scale, like such as like assists and scoring for damage done and heals and things like that, because people play roles in this game. And when you look at Arena of Solare, they give people a score chart that shows them their performance in all those departments where they're trying to perform. I want to see that in large scale as well. I think Guild League is one of the better pieces of PvP content they've added in quite some time. I think it's a lot of fun. I would really love to see the complementing features of all of those game modes blend together in all of them. At the same time, I'd love to see Guild League be open, available on a wider window in terms of schedule when you can play it. And also Red Battlefield. I would love to see the Red Battlefield currency that you make be revamped as well. You make like no silver per hour by participating in Red Battlefield. And I really think they could go into Red Battlefield and make the currency that you earn be also performance based. Like, imagine if you got like 10 million silver or 20 or 25 million silver per kill. People would want to go into that and perform alone, or even more just off of that. But, maybe you could add more repeatable dailies, like 10 repeatable dailies, where if you lose, you're making maybe 300 mil or 400 mil an hour. But if you're winning, you're making like, 600 or 700 mil an hour because you're completing also more daily tasks as well. And on top of that, you can earn bonus silver by performing good. So maybe you could get upwards of like close to 1 billion silver per hour time played through Red Battlefield, because they're 20-minute rounds typically, right? So just those are a few things that are kind of cooking up in my brain right now.
Thank you. I totally agree, especially the RBF part. RBF rewards are outdated. RBF itself is outdated. We need new maps, new strategies, maybe new RBF mods. I don't know, they can make something different. And also in these days, they're trying to change the node war system. The new system looks juicy. It has pros, cons. No need to talk about them. But the income, the reward from the PvP in Node War seems juicy, but if you want to be competitive, you're using elixirs, perfumes, whale tendons, many things. And from Node War, the biggest reward might be around 1.5 billion average silver, but you already spent over 1 billion in Node War for all the consumables. What I was just offer, they can make something special, guilds, elixirs, guild tendons or something. You can only use them at Node War or Siege, and you can buy them from Guild's Market, and you will get your reward. It will be very good, and the elixirs and the perfumes will be free. You will not lose money. And if people think that this will be problem for future for life skillers, because people buying elixirs from marketplace, tendons even marketplace, so no need to worry about that. If they can fix the imperial cooking, imperial alchemy delivery, and if they can just make them separate, and if they just can adjust and improve them, so there will be no problem to just sell and consume all the elixirs from the game. That's what I'm thinking.
Yeah, and on top of that, it's like I'd like to go into RBF and be able to talk to a war manager and like buy RBF Perfume of Courage, buy RBF Giant Draft, and be able to go fully buffed even in a Red Battlefield situation without it having to cost me an arm and a leg in terms of time invested as well. And like I said earlier too, being able to blend game mode features and complementing features, like I think it'd be really cool if we could treat Red Battlefield like a death match, because I think it'd be cool at the end of the round, you could see score charts of everybody. People could see bragging rights. People could call out people for doing bad and things like that. And we could see all those types of things. You could see the damage you've done. You could see how much you've taken and how much you've healed, and complement all of that on top of it being more, or having a higher earning of income through performing and playing it as well. Like I think all of it could collab and coexist, and I think it could be a lot of fun. So for me, it's like I just look at a lot of these departments and feel like some really simple revamping in terms of features would be so complementary to the game modes itself.
True. Another question. What advices would you like to give to newbies, returnees, and other players in the game?
You know, just go at your own pace and don't compare your progress to anyone else's, because honestly, there's always going to be someone with more gear than you. There's always going to be someone better than you. There's always going to be somebody with better RNG, more time, all that stuff. Like, go at your own pace, have your own fun, enjoy the game as it is. And when you start to get burnt out, just like take a step away, you know, and ask questions as they come, because there is a plethora of information that is provided on YouTube. Twitch streamers are always happy to answer new player questions, and players themselves in chats are happy to help as well. This game does have a really rock solid community in terms of information, and it is out there, and I highly encourage any new player to seriously take advantage of it, because you have everything to gain through your own progress in this game by doing so.
Thank you. We are reaching the end of the interview. Is there anything else you would like to add before we finish?
Yeah, I just want to say thanks for tuning in, and thank you very much for hearing me out and listening to this, and shout out to yourself for hosting this as well. And thank you very much for having me. And if you guys have any more questions about Succession Striker, Striker Awakening, or even the game in general, please do feel free to come on by and ask away.
Alright guys, you heard the man, the Succession Striker God. You can go there. You're already seeing the links in the screen. Go ask him. And I mean, you will find insanely funny, amazing contents. Sometimes bullying people, sometimes like, I mean, the guy is God of content creation. I have nothing to say. When you go there, you will understand. Thank you so much.
Editing in the background as we speak. Thank you, man. I appreciate it.
Alright guys, do not forget, BDO is just a game. Have a nice game.